Okay, so here is hopefully the last video, and so what we're going to do now is all these other lines that we put in to define his beard, his hair, his ears, and then we'll work on the ball cap and try to get him to a state where he's pretty much done and ready for paint. So like we've done in the past, first thing I want to do is I want to just follow my lines around. Back of his hair. So then when I'm carving this, the shoulders or the body will go underneath the beard. Body will go underneath the hair, and the hair will go behind the sideburns here. So first thing I want to do is I just want to start cutting up towards that hairline. And sometimes you do that. You don't get that deep enough. Okay, then I want to cut towards the beard. I'm keeping in mind this edge here that I put in, my limits. I don't want to get any closer than that. Okay, I still got quite a bit there, so then you can thin this up. But it is a good idea to keep that line in there just so you kind of know. When you look at it and say, yeah, it's kind of got the shape that I want, or maybe I need to take off a little bit more here or there. Okay, so now I want to take the hair underneath the ear and then the hair underneath the beard. Something like that. Okay, so we've kind of got that, and you can shape this up as much as you want. Just giving you the idea of how I carved that one. And then the ears. So with the ears, all I do on this one is I just kind of made a sweeping cut. And then I took just kind of made a couple V cuts right there. One there and one there. He's got a lot of cleanup to do, but I'm not gonna go through all that on camera. It's just a matter of going through there and making some more cuts to clean it up. Just wanted to kind of give you the idea of it. So we'll do the same thing over here. I got that ear a little bit too small, but that's what you get when you try to go fast in a hurry. Now I want to kind of round this back up towards the top so it looks okay. So his beard, I'll make that, and that's another reason why I leave so much there on the bottom. Is I kind of want to make his beard uneven, like we did on the mustache. And so I just kind of did that all over. Long V cuts, short V cuts. Just trying to give it some definition, a little bit of texture. And a V tool. You can use a V tool for this too. And you kind of can't really do it with this piece, but some of the other pieces you can kind of rake that along and it'll tear off and give you a really nice look to it. So something like that. One thing I forgot, that cigarette's going somewhere right around in there. So you can use whatever size you want to make your cigarette. But all I want to do is stick that straight in. I'm going to pull it out, come in from the top side, and hopefully you can pull out a nice solid piece. So the cigarette, all I do for that is I just get just a regular stock, just something small, scrap typically. I don't have one here handy, but this is not the size I would use, of course. But all I'm going to do is just kind of I don't have any close. I carve it with the grain going up and down. And all I'm going to do, we can do it with this right here real quick. Because I just want to get a round piece. Typically it's not this wide, but I like it a little bit longer so I can hang on to it. And what I'll start out with is probably a piece that's something like that. Maybe you'll be able to carve it out of this, who knows? basically. I'm just going to whittle it down until I get the shape that I want. And it is very nice to have something to hang on to. So all I'll do is just eventually just keep rounding this over until I get the shape that I'm looking for. So, you know, this is too big, but you get the idea. And then all I do is I take my wood burner with a straight tip and just kind of burn some little lines in that, and then kind of gives you the idea that it's ash. So I'll continue to round this guy. And I want to kind of make a as flat a spot as I can here so I can put the words on there, and you can put whatever you want on there. So for the bill, something like that, and then just took my knife and started shaping it back towards that. Now be careful when you're doing this. Sorry, get out of frame. When you're doing this, because this will get really thin and will have a tendency to want to break on you. And I'll just start shaping it up. The hat didn't have to be perfect. This guy, this Backwoods Hillbilly, he's been around for a while, so his chances of his cap being nice and pretty are pretty slim. So something like that. Bring it down a little bit. Looks a little bit too thick there and there. It's just a matter of going around him. Making that a little bit thinner. And rounded it up towards the top. And then just kind of tucking that forehead up underneath that cap. So the last thing is we've got to put his hair in. So I'm just going to make a series of stop cuts. And this one's going to go back in towards that stop cut. Okay. And then I'm going to make another stop cut here. And the bottom of that cap is going to go to the bottom of that. And then I'll make some irregular little triangle cuts in there. Just kind of clean this up a little bit. So when you paint that, that'll all stand out. Clean this up a little bit in here too. Okay. So it's not too bad. I'm not real happy with the nose, but it'll be okay. It's just part of it. Instead of starting over again, we tried to save it. It doesn't look too bad. And I think once we get it painted, it'll look a whole lot better. Okay. Hair is the same thing. Just a series of V cuts. Some small ones. Try not to get into the brim of your hat. You take it from the bottom side. It's kind of keep it all irregular. And once you do that, you go back and clean up underneath it. Something like that. Or you can use the old V tool and do the same thing. So in those hard to reach areas, sometimes that's what I'll do. I'll just kind of take the V tool and just kind of randomly and go back in there and clean all that up. So the very last thing that I'll do before I paint this is I'll go over this entire carving and make sure, like this area right here, I've got all nice clean cuts. Everything's nice and clean. Don't have any fuzzies hanging around. If I see something that's a little bit too thick, then I'll go and thin it up. But for the most part, this is, I would call him, the part of the carving is done. And then it's just a matter of looking at him from the side and going, yeah, he's got a nice shape. Profile's okay. Looks round from the top. And then you can kind of see that we're not exactly round. Then you can look at the bottom. So we actually had quite a bit that we could have gone still. That's okay. So if you want to do that, you can go around there and try to get it as even as you can. But in the end, when you put him on there, he'll sit nicely on that bottle. So for this, I don't use super glue. I use the Gorilla Glue, the expanding glue. That glue, when you put these caps in here, and you kind of dampen the surface, one surface or the other, you put that glue in there and then just clamp it in place. It will seal really, really well. And then you don't have to worry about the carving actually breaking loose from the cap. It'll stay for a really long time. Okay, so I hope that you guys like this series. Sorry it was so long. There's just there's a lot to it. So let's call this guy done and see what we can come up with for the next video. So I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing and watching the videos. It really helps me a lot. The channel is growing, and it wouldn't grow without the support of everybody watching and the comments. I really like the comments. Um, I'll try to answer more of those as I see them. So I'd like to thank everybody again, and happy carving.